Some shows are only as good as their villains, and these baddies pack quite the punch. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 villains on Netflix original series. Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at the antagonists that make their Netflix series that much more enjoyable. However, we will not be including any anti-heroes on this list, so as good as Wagner Moura is as Pablo Escobar, you won't find him on this list. Number 10, Count Olaf, a series of unfortunate events.
Hello, children.
It says a lot about the quality of Netflix's villains when an attempted child murderer barely cracks the top 10. Nevertheless, Olaf is one of the most devious and relentless villains the streaming service has to offer. After the tragic death of their parents, the Baudelaire children are sent from foster home to foster home. All the while, they are hunted by the wily Count, who is in pursuit of their fortune.
Oh, I need to get more popcorn.
Olaf was already entertaining thanks to his characterization in the beloved book series, but it's Neil Patrick Harris's enigmatic performance that really sells him. He's given some great performances, but it seems he was born to play Count Olaf.
My. Aren't you a lucky boy?
Number 9, Dr. Hunter Aloysius Percy, the OA.
Okay. Let me walk you through this, because I know where your head's at.
Jason Isaacs has made a career out of portraying memorable villains, from films like The Patriot to the Harry Potter franchise. So we were all excited to see what he would bring to this mysterious series about a missing blind girl who reemerges with her sight intact. Isaacs plays a scientist who kidnaps and experiments on people for years, wiping their memories so they can't remember what he's done to them. He believes his actions are for the greater good, which makes him even more dangerous. His commitment to his cause, and only his cause, make him a truly powerful villain and exciting to watch.
You know what she calls you? She calls you the Angel Hunter!
Number 8, Ronald Reagan, Wet Hot American Summer, First Day of Camp, and Wet Hot American Summer, 10 years later.
I said, handle it!
Surprised? Yeah, we were too. A comedic villain, but a villain nonetheless. The great communicator desperately tried to shut down Camp Firewood in both the prequel and sequel series of the cult classic film. Originally, he was trying to cover up the fact that Zenstar was dumping toxic waste at the camp.
I may be the most powerful person in the modern world, but there's one thing I've never been able to conquer, and that is freedom of press.
However, in the sequels, his motive is much more personal. While Camp Tiger Claws Blake is a definite nuisance, the sheer ridiculousness of Reagan's plans more than lives up to the comedic precedent set by the original film.
Welcome to the last day of camp ever.
Number 7, Bryce Walker, 13 Reasons Why.
Did you just...
Oh, no, I didn't. It's real tight.
There's no doubt that this high school jock is one of the most hated characters in any Netflix show, and it's for good reason. He's more nefarious than one would expect from the stereotypical bully. Even before the full depth of his evil is revealed, Bryce spends the show tormenting sensitive Clay, as well as his own so-called friend, Alex. He may sound one-dimensional on paper, but Justin Prentice's performance makes the character stand out. If high school is hell, then Bryce is the devil, and we hated him with a burning passion.
I know that's hard for you to hear, that your little crush wasn't pure and clean.
Number 6, Yvonne V. Parker, Orange is the New Black. While she may not have appeared until the show's second season, this Litchfield prisoner becomes one of the more powerful antagonists on the show almost instantaneously.
If you're not building a future, that's because you don't believe there is a future.
As a manipulative sociopath, V was able to gain control over other inmates such as Tasty and Suzanne, while simultaneously exiling Tasty's best friend, Poussey. Unfortunately for them, V only ever saw the other inmates as pawns to use in her rise to power as a crime lord at the prison. And it was her charismatic and likable persona that helped her rise so quickly.
This does not concern you.
Number 5, Cornell Cottonmouth Stokes, Luke Cage.
Because everybody wants to be the king.
Fans of Moonlight knew what to expect from Mahershala Ali, and he more than delivered. As one of the major crime lords of Harlem, this ruthless gangster would have stopped at nothing to bring his Luke Cage problem to a violent close. His short temper made him especially terrifying, but Ali's performance was so layered that it stuck with fans as well as critics. He lived by his own code, and the flashback explaining his childhood left a distinct impression. This villain was so well developed that he appears on this list instead of Diamondback, the show's primary antagonist.
Maybe if we just leave that Luke Cage cat alone, give him his side of the street, we take ours.
Number 4, Camino Del Rio, Ozark.
Good morning.
Yeah, thanks.
He may not be the most well-known or established of Netflix villains, but But that doesn't make him any less of a threat. What sets Del Rio apart is his stony demeanor. It's hard to tell what's bubbling underneath his composed exterior until it's too late. So rare are these outbursts that it makes him all the more powerful when they occur, and it's this sudden change from calm to explosive violence that makes him such a chilling antagonist. He's also incredibly clever and convincing, meaning he can usually get his way, and God help whoever double-crosses him.
His father shouldn't have to see his child die.
Number 3, Wilson Fisk, Daredevil.
Vanessa.
It's Wilson.
Suspicions were high when the first Marvel Netflix show was announced, especially since Daredevil's film adaptation was less than stellar. But the show was a hit all around, and it was partially thanks to Vincent D'Onofrio's horrifying performance as Wilson Fisk. What made him such an interesting foe was that Season 1 was just as much about his rise to power as it was Matt Murdock's journey to vigilantism. This made the character feel less like a series of plot points and more like a real and genuine human being. Plus, his goal to destroy the city and rebuild it in his image led to some moments that still give us chills.
The one thing that keeps me warm is the thought that I will look down upon this city. The city that birthed me.
Number 2, Kilgrave, Jessica Jones.
Well, now that's out of the way. Put the barrel of the gun into your mouth.
The power to control people's actions is already frightening, but when it's given to a sadistic woman abuser, it becomes something else entirely. Severely obsessed with the titular hero, Kilgrave forces people to do unspeakable acts to accomplish his goals. These acts include drug abuse, murder, and suicide, just to name a few. He was eventually shown to have a tragic backstory, but it was his cruel and merciless actions that left the most lasting impression. His power also meant that he could turn anyone into an unwitting villain, which created a feeling of paranoia throughout the entire show.
Be a certain ring of hell designed specially for her.
Number 1, the Demogorgon, Stranger Things.
The Demogorgon! We're in deep shit!
Sure, the Mind Flayer is scary and imposing in its own right, but nothing can quite top the original monster. No one knew quite what to expect from this series, but the opening scene of Will's abduction by the monster was downright petrifying and immediately drew audiences in. We wouldn't get a good look at the creature until later, but it was that build-up that made the payoff that much more satisfying. Plus, a monster from another dimension that feeds on children, it's the stuff nightmares are made of.
Demogorgon.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.